Dr. Elena Vasquez pressed her hand against the cold metal wall of Research Station Kepler 442b and smiled. 3 years, she had been working on this small outpost at the edge of human space. 3 years of studying the strange blue crystals that grew naturally on this distant planet. The crystals were special. They could store energy better than anything humans had ever found before. If her team could understand how they worked, they might change everything. Ships could travel faster. Cities could run on clean power for centuries. It was the kind of discovery that made Elena glad she had chosen to work so far from Earth. The station was not big. It housed 847 people. Most were scientists like Elena. Some brought their families. A few worked in maintenance or security. It was a peaceful place where people focused on learning and discovery. Elena walked through the main corridor toward the laboratory. She passed the school, where children learned their lessons. She saw the small garden where people grew fresh food. The station felt like a tiny piece of home floating in the darkness of space. Commander James Chen stood near the observation deck, looking out at the stars. He was the head of security for the station. Elena had worked with him since her first day here. James was a good man who took his job seriously. Maybe too seriously sometimes. "Morning, Elena," James said as she approached. His face looked worried. "You look tired, James." "Bad dreams again?" James shook his head. "Not dreams. Reports. Our sensors have been picking up more alien ships in this area. Zephyrian vessels." Elena frowned. The Zephyrians were a military race that claimed this part of space belonged to them. But according to the Galactic Accords, signed by Earth and dozens of other species, this area was neutral territory. Anyone could work here as long as they kept the peace. "How many ships?" Elena asked. 12 yesterday. 15 the day before. They are getting closer to our position. Elena put her hand on James's shoulder. "You worry too much. The diplomats on Earth say we have every right to be here. The Zephyrians are just showing off. They do that sometimes." End quote. Like %. James did not look convinced. "Maybe. But I sent another report to Earth Command yesterday. I think we should have more security here. We only have 20 guards and some basic weapons. If something goes wrong." "Nothing will go wrong," Elena said. But even as she spoke, she felt a small chill. Elena spent her morning working with the crystals. Under the microscope, they looked like tiny blue stars. Each one held patterns that seemed impossible. The energy flowed through them in ways that broke the rules of physics as humans understood them. Her assistant, Dr. Park, came into the lab with coffee and news from Earth. "She is learning about our work here. She wants to be a scientist too." Elena smiled. "She should come visit us someday. By then, maybe we will have figured out how these crystals work." Dr. Park laughed. "If we figure it out, we will be famous across the galaxy." They worked together in comfortable silence. Elena made notes while Dr. Park ran tests. The crystals responded to different types of energy in strange ways. Sometimes they glowed brighter. Sometimes they seemed to sing with a sound too low for human ears to hear. At lunchtime, Elena met her friends in the station cafeteria. They talked about their work and their families back on Earth. Dr. Martinez shared pictures of his new grandson. Engineer Thompson complained about a broken water recycler. It was normal conversation between people who had become like family to each other. James Chen did not join them for lunch. Elena saw him through the window, still watching the stars. His worry was spreading to some of the other security staff. She decided to talk to him again later. The afternoon brought more crystal research. Elena discovered that the blue ones reacted differently than the green ones found deeper in the planet's crust. Each type seemed to have its own personality. The blue ones were quick and bright. The green ones were slow and deep. As evening came, Elena finished her daily report to Earth. She wrote about the new discoveries and the progress her team was making. She did not mention James's concerns about alien ships. Earth Command received hundreds of such reports every day. Most were nothing to worry about. Elena had dinner with her team and then went to her small quarters. She had a few books, some pictures from Earth, and a small plant that reminded her of home. Through her window, she could see the planet below. It was beautiful in the starlight, with blue and green crystals making patterns across the surface. She thought about her work and the people around her. The station felt safe and peaceful. They were doing important research that would help all of humanity. The crystals might power ships that would carry people to new worlds. They might run machines that would make life better for billions. Elena fell asleep thinking about the future. She dreamed of cities powered by crystal energy and ships that could cross the galaxy in days instead of months. In her dreams, the work they were doing here would be remembered forever as the moment humanity truly reached for the stars. She did not dream about alien warships dropping out of hyperspace. She did not dream about weapons charging or shields failing. She did not dream about the message that would reach Earth in 17 days, telling them that Research Station Kepler 442b and all 847 souls aboard had been destroyed. Elena Vasquez slept peacefully on her last night in the universe, surrounded by blue crystal light and the quiet hum of a research station at the edge of human space. The alarm started screaming at 0347 station time. Elena woke up fast, her heart pounding. Red lights flashed in her quarters. The emergency alert meant immediate danger. She grabbed her emergency suit and ran toward the main corridor. Other people were doing the same thing. Scientists, engineers, families with children. Everyone looked scared and confused. Commander James Chen's voice came over the speakers. All personnel report to emergency stations. We have multiple unknown vessels approaching our position. This is not a drill. End on. Elena reached the main observation deck and gasped. 12 massive alien ships surrounded the station. They were dark and angular, covered in weapon ports. The ships were huge, each one 3 times larger than the research station. James stood at the command center, talking rapidly into his headset. His face was pale but determined. Elena had never seen him look so worried. James, what is happening? She asked. Zephyrian battle fleet, he said without looking away from his screens. They appeared out of hyperspace 5 minutes ago. No warning. No communication. Dr. Park ran up to them. Are they here to escort us out of the system? Maybe there is some misunderstanding about the territorial rights. James shook his head. These are not escort ships. These are warships. Full battle configuration. Suddenly, a deep voice filled the station's communication system. The words came in heavily accented English with a harsh, grinding quality. Human Research Facility. This is Admiral Keth Var of the Zephyrian Hegemony. You are trespassing in sacred Zephyrian space. You have 1 solar hour to evacuate all personnel and abandon this facility. Elena felt her stomach drop. 1 hour? That was impossible. The station had nearly 900 people. The evacuation pods could only hold 50 people each. They would need at least 6 hours to get everyone off the station safely. James activated the communication system. Admiral Keth Var. This is Commander Chen of Research Station Kepler 442b. We are operating under the Galactic Accords in neutral space. Our diplomatic status. The alien voice cut him off. You have 59 minutes. Any humans remaining after that time will be considered hostile invaders. The communication went dead. Elena looked around the observation deck. Families held each other. Scientists stared at the alien ships in disbelief. Everyone understood what was happening. The Zephyrians were not here to negotiate. They were here to destroy. James started giving orders. Begin emergency evacuation procedures. Priority to families with children. Science teams. Secure all research data. Security teams. Prepare defensive positions. Dr. Martinez grabbed Elena's arm. Defensive positions? James, we have 20 security guards and some small weapons. Those ships could destroy us in minutes. Then we buy time for the evacuation, James said. Elena ran to her laboratory to save her crystal research. 3 years of work sat in computer files and sample containers. If they were going to die, at least the knowledge might survive. She copied all her data to emergency storage units. The blue crystals sat on her desk, still glowing softly. She put several in her pocket. Maybe someone would find them and continue the research. The evacuation alarms were deafening now. Parents carried crying children toward the evacuation bays. Engineers shut down the station's main systems to prevent explosions. Security guards took positions near the windows with their weapons ready. Elena made it to Evacuation Bay 3 with her data storage units. Dr. Park was already there with his family. His daughter looked terrified. Elena, Dr. Park called. There is space in Pod 7. Elena looked back toward the command center. James was still there, coordinating the evacuation. He would be one of the last to leave. That was the kind of man he was. 37 minutes had passed. Half the people were still on the station. The evacuation pods could not launch fast enough. Then the lights went out. Emergency power kicked in a few seconds later, casting everything in red light. Elena heard James's voice over the speakers, but it was breaking up with static. Hull breach on Deck 4. They are jamming our communications. All security teams too. The transmission ended. Elena realized the Zephyrians had started their attack early. They were not going to wait the full hour. After 7, explosions shook the station. The artificial gravity flickered on and off. Elena fell against the wall as the floor tilted under her feet. Through the windows, she could see bright flashes from the alien weapons. The evacuation bay doors were stuck. Engineers worked frantically to open them manually. Some of the evacuation pods had already launched, but most were still docked. More explosions. Closer this time. Elena heard the sound of metal tearing and air rushing out into space. The Zephyrians were systematically destroying the station, section by section. Dr. Park pushed his daughter into an evacuation pod. "Elena, get in!" he shouted. Elena looked toward the command center one more time. She could see James through the broken windows. He was still at his post, sending out emergency signals to Earth. Blood ran down his face from a head wound, but he kept working. Another massive explosion shook the station. This time, Elena felt the deck plating buckle under her feet. The main reactor was failing. When it went critical, everything would be vaporized. "James," she called out. But he could not hear her over the noise of destruction. Elena saw him look up at the screens one last time. His fingers moved over the controls, sending one final message toward Earth. Then the ceiling collapsed, and she could not see him anymore. The evacuation pod doors finally opened. Dr. Park grabbed Elena and pulled her inside just as the bay began to lose atmosphere. The pod launched automatically, carrying 15 people away from the dying station. Through the pod's small window, Elena watched Research Station Kepler 442b break apart. The Zephyrian ships fired continuously, making sure nothing survived. The beautiful blue and green glow of the crystals was replaced by the white fire of destruction. The pod's emergency beacon broadcast their location, but Elena knew rescue would not come in time. The Zephyrians would hunt down the evacuation pods, one by one. In a few hours, there would be no trace that humans had ever worked in this part of space. Elena closed her eyes and thought about James Chen, still sending his warning to Earth even as the station died around him. She hoped his message would reach home. She hoped someone would remember what happened here. 847 people had lived and worked on Research Station Kepler 442b. In less than 2 hours, all of them would be dead, and the galaxy would learn what it meant to attack human civilians. 17 days after the attack, Commander Chen's final message reached Earth through an automated deep space relay. The transmission was broken and filled with static. But the words were clear enough. Research Station Kepler 442b under attack by Zephyrian battle fleet. Massive casualties. They gave us 1 hour to evacuate 900 people. Impossible demand. They are executing civilians. Station reactor will fail in minutes. Tell my sister. Tell Earth. They wanted to test us. This was planned. More attacks coming. Remember us. Remember what they did. Chen out. The message arrived at Earth Defense Command at 0300 local time. General Patricia Hayes was woken up by her aide and brought to the secure communication center. She listened to the message 3 times before she fully understood what she was hearing. 847 people, all dead. General Hayes made 2 phone calls. The first was to President Sarah Chen. The second was to Admiral Marcus Webb, head of Earth's Strategic Response Division. President Chen arrived at the White House Situation Room 40 minutes later. She had not slept since receiving the call. Commander James Chen had been her younger brother. The last time she saw him, he was excited about his new assignment, protecting scientists on the frontier. Admiral Webb was already waiting with a team of intelligence officers and military analysts. The president had worked with Webb for 3 years, but she had never seen him look so serious. Madam President, Webb said, before we discuss our response options, there is something you need to know about Earth's actual military capabilities. President Chen frowned. What do you mean? Actual capabilities? I receive weekly briefings on our defense systems. Webb exchanged glances with Intelligence Director Lisa Park. Madam President, for the past 25 years, Earth has been deliberately understating our military power in all diplomatic communications. The other species in the galaxy believe we are a minor frontier civilization with basic defense technology. The president sat down slowly. Explain. Webb activated a holographic display showing Earth's solar system. What the galaxy sees is our public fleet. 60 ships, standard weapons, basic shields, typical for a young spacefaring civilization. The display changed, showing dozens of additional ships appearing throughout the solar system. They had been completely hidden from galactic sensors. This is our actual fleet. 347 vessels using stealth technology that no other species possesses. Weapons capable of destroying entire fleets. Shields that can withstand planet-killer attacks. President Chen stared at the display. Why was I not told about this? Because you did not need to know, Madam President. Our policy has always been peaceful expansion. We wanted other species to see us as harmless neighbors. But we always knew this day might come. Intelligence Director Park stepped forward with a datapad. Madam President, we have been monitoring Zephyrian communications since the attack. This was not a random act of aggression. They planned it carefully. She showed the president intercepted messages between Zephyrian military leaders. The words had been translated from their harsh alien language into English. They wanted to test human response capability, Park explained. The Zephyrians believe humans are expanding too quickly into what they consider their ancient territory. They chose our most remote research station to see how we would react. President Chen read the intercepted messages. One phrase appeared several times. If the humans are weak, we will eliminate all their colonies before they become a threat. The president looked up at Admiral Webb. How many human colonies are in potential danger? 43 stations and settlements. Nearly 2 million civilians. The room fell silent. President Chen thought about her brother James, dying at his post while trying to save innocent researchers. She thought about Dr. Elena Vasquez and all the families who had gone to the frontier to build a better future for humanity. Admiral Webb, she said quietly, show me our response options. Webb activated another display. We have 3 choices, Madam President. First, We can file a formal protest with the Galactic Council and demand justice through diplomatic channels. How long would that take? 2 to 3 years, maybe longer. And there is no guarantee the Council would take action against the Zephyrians. What is the second option? Limited military response. We reveal some of our hidden capabilities and destroy the Zephyrian ships that attacked our station. We make it clear that attacking humans has consequences. President Chen considered this. And the third option? Admiral Webb was quiet for a long moment. Total response, Madam President. We show the entire galaxy exactly what happens when someone murders human civilians. We make it clear that Earth protects its people, and we calculate our retaliation mathematically. Explain mathematical retaliation. Webb pulled up data on the Zephyrian hegemony. They killed 847 of our people. Their homeworld has a population of 17 billion. If we respond proportionally, the president understood immediately. The math was simple and terrible. Intelligence Director Park spoke up. Madam President, our deep space monitors indicate the Zephyrians are already moving fleets toward 3 more human colonies. They believe our response will be weak diplomatic protests. They think we are helpless, President Chen said. Yes, Madam President. Every species in the galaxy thinks we are helpless. President Chen stood and walked to the window. Outside, she could see the lights of Washington, D.C. Millions of people going about their lives, unaware that their government was about to make a decision that would change the galaxy forever. She thought about the children on research station Kepler 442b, who had been learning about their parents' important work. She thought about the scientists who had been trying to discover clean energy for all humanity. She thought about her brother James, sending his final message even as alien weapons tore apart everything around him. President Chen turned back to Admiral Webb. The Zephyrians wanted to test our capabilities? Yes, Madam President. They wanted to see what happens when they murder our people? Yes, Madam President. President Chen sat down at the head of the conference table. Her voice was calm and cold when she spoke. Then let us give them a demonstration they will never forget. Prepare Project Nova for immediate deployment. I want the Zephyrian homeworld to understand that when you kill humans, there are mathematical consequences. Admiral Webb nodded. Understood, Madam President. When do you want to begin the demonstration? President Chen looked at the clock on the wall. 17 days had passed since her brother died, trying to save innocent people. Now, Admiral. We begin now. Earth's response began 18 hours after President Chen gave the order. The galaxy had no idea what was coming. Admiral Marcus Webb stood in the command center of the UES Retribution, humanity's most secret warship. The ship was massive, but completely invisible to alien sensors. Its stealth technology made it appear as empty space to any scanning system. Admiral, his communications officer reported, all stealth units are in position. We have eyes on every Zephyrian military installation within 50 light-years. Webb nodded. Begin Stage 1. Surgical elimination of all military assets. I want clean, precise strikes. No survivors. Across 50 different star systems, human ships decloaked simultaneously. The Zephyrians had built their military power over centuries. They had bases on asteroids, space stations around gas giants, and fortress worlds protected by massive shield generators. None of it mattered. The human weapons were unlike anything the galaxy had seen before. They did not fire projectiles or energy beams. Instead, they created tiny tears in space itself. The tears expanded rapidly, consuming everything they touched. On the fortress world of Zephyr 7, General Mokhtal was reviewing attack plans for human colonies when the space around his command bunker simply disappeared. The bunker, the general, and 50,000 Zephyrian soldiers vanished as if they had never existed. The same thing happened across their entire military network. Battle stations with crews of millions were erased in seconds. Fleets of warships preparing for attacks on human settlements found themselves surrounded by expanding voids of nothingness. In 37 minutes, the the Zephyrian hegemony lost its entire military force. Every ship, every base, every weapon, gone. 3 centuries of military development wiped out without a single shot being fired in return. Stage 1 was complete. Admiral Webb opened a communication channel to the Zephyrian homeworld of Zephyr Prime. His message was broadcast on all frequencies, so every alien in the system would hear it. This is Admiral Marcus Webb of the Earth Defense Force. Your military capabilities have been eliminated. You now have 24 hours to surrender unconditionally and evacuate your homeworld. This is your only warning. On Zephyr Prime, Supreme Commander Vash Kol gathered his remaining advisors in the underground command center. The planet's population of 17 billion had watched their military disappear from space in less than an hour. How is this possible? Vash Kol demanded. Our intelligence said humans had basic technology. Weak ships. Simple weapons. His intelligence chief, General Yethmar, stared at the tactical displays. Our intelligence was wrong, Supreme Commander. Completely wrong. The humans have technology we do not understand. They are bluffing about attacking our homeworld, Vash Kol declared. No species would destroy an entire planet over one small research station. It would be genocide. General Yethmar looked uncertain. Supreme Commander. They eliminated our entire military in 37 minutes. Perhaps we should consider evacuation. Never. Vash Kol slammed his fist on the table. We are Zephyrians. We do not run from primitive humans. Send a message to their admiral. Tell him we reject his demands. The message was transmitted to the UES Retribution. Admiral Webb read it and shook his head sadly. He had hoped the Zephyrians would be smart enough to save themselves. Admiral, his tactical officer reported, we have confirmed 17 billion life forms on Zephyr Prime. Evacuation would require thousands of ships working continuously for weeks. Webb looked out at the blue and green world spinning peacefully below. Cities sparkled on the night side. Orbital platforms carried cargo between the surface and space. It looked like any other inhabited world. They had their chance, Webb said. Begin. Stage 3. Activate Project Nova. Deep in the ship's most secure section, Dr. Sarah Martinez worked at the Project Nova control panel. She had spent 15 years developing the technology, hoping it would never be used. The weapon was elegant in its simplicity. It created a cascade reaction at the quantum level, causing matter to forget how to exist. The reaction spread rapidly but burned out after consuming a specific amount of mass, in this case, exactly enough to erase one planet. Nova weapon armed and ready, Dr. Martinez reported. Admiral Webb thought about the message from Commander Chen. He thought about 847 innocent people who had died for the crime of studying crystals on a distant world. Fire, he ordered. A single beam of silver light shot from the UES Retribution toward Zephyr Prime. The beam was thin as a hair and moved at the speed of light. When it touched the planet's surface, it disappeared into the crust without any visible effect. For 10 seconds, nothing happened. The planet continued spinning. Cities continued glowing. Ships continued moving between orbital platforms. Then, the reaction began. It started as a small silver spot on the planet's surface. The spot grew slowly at first, then faster. Where the silver touched, matter simply ceased to exist. Not destroyed. Erased. Gone as if it had never been. The effect spread across the surface in a perfect sphere. Oceans, mountains, cities, and 17 billion Zephyrians were consumed by expanding nothingness. The planet's 3 moons followed moments later, unraveled by the same impossible force. Within 6 minutes, Zephyr Prime and everything associated with it had been removed from the universe. Empty space remained, where a world had existed for millions of years. Admiral Webb broadcast the visual record to every species in the galaxy. The message was simple. This is what happens when you attack human civilians. We eliminated your entire military force in 37 minutes. We erased your homeworld in 6 minutes. We calculated this response mathematically. 847 human lives equals 1 Zephyrian planet. The broadcast continued with technical data showing exactly how the weapon worked. Every alien government would study it and reach the same conclusion. Humans possessed technology that could erase any planet in the galaxy. We are not conquerors, Admiral Webb's message concluded. We are builders and explorers, but we protect our people with absolute certainty. Consider this when you decide how to treat human colonies in the future. The UES Retribution cloaked itself and disappeared from Zephyrian space, leaving only empty void where a star system had once thrived. Across the galaxy, alien governments received the broadcast and understood that everything had changed. The small, peaceful human civilization they had ignored was actually the most dangerous species in known space. The math was simple: attack humans, lose everything. Stage 3 was complete. The news of Zephyr Prime's destruction reached every corner of the galaxy within hours. Alien governments that had barely noticed humanity suddenly found themselves studying every piece of information they could find about the small blue planet called Earth. On the galactic capital world of Nexus, the Galactic Council held an emergency session. Representatives from 200 species gathered in the Great Chamber, their voices mixing into a chaos of fear and confusion. Chancellor Vox Altair of the Centauran Republic spoke first. We must address this immediately. The humans have violated every principle of proportional response. They destroyed an entire world. Ambassador Kith Pena from the Andromedan Alliance disagreed. The Zephyrians attacked first. They killed nearly 900 civilians without warning. The humans simply responded in kind. The Zephyrians, one side, 19-1, responded in kind. Chancellor Vox Altair's voice rose. 800 deaths do not justify 17 billion deaths. The humans would disagree, came a calm voice from the gallery. Every head turned as Dr. Patricia Sterling, Earth's ambassador to the Galactic Council, walked to the speaker's platform. Dr. Sterling was a small woman with gray hair and kind eyes. She had been Earth's diplomat for 12 years, always polite and reasonable in negotiations. No one had ever seen her as threatening. Now they looked at her with new eyes. This pleasant grandmother represented a species that could erase planets. Honorable representatives, Dr. Sterling began, I understand your shock at recent events. Earth regrets that such extreme measures became necessary. Chancellor Vox Altair interrupted. Regrets? You committed genocide. Dr. Sterling's expression did not change. We eliminated a military threat using mathematical precision. The Zephyrians tested our response capabilities by murdering our civilians. We provided them with a complete demonstration. She activated a holographic display showing the destruction of Zephyr Prime. The assembled aliens watched in horrified silence as the planet simply ceased to exist. For 847 innocent lives, Dr. Sterling continued, we calculated an exponential response. Mathematics, not emotion, dictated our actions. We want all species to understand. Attack one human civilian, and Earth will calculate an appropriate response. Ambassador Kith Pena leaned forward. Are you threatening this council? I am explaining Earth's defense policy, Doctor. Sterling replied. We are peaceful explorers who want to coexist with all species. But we will not be victims. Our response will always be mathematically appropriate to the threat. The chamber erupted in angry voices. Some representatives demanded sanctions against Earth. Others called for military action. A few suggested immediate surrender. Dr. Sterling waited for the noise to die down. When she spoke again, her voice carried a cold certainty that made the chamber fall silent. Earth maintains detailed records on every species in this galaxy. We know the location of your homeworlds, your military capabilities, and your population centers. We have calculated appropriate responses for various scenarios. She paused, looking around the chamber. We hope never to use these calculations. But they exist. The remaining Zephyrian colonies surrendered to Earth within 6 hours of the Council session. The hegemony's surviving leaders sent formal apologies and offered to pay compensation for the research station attack. President Sarah Chen addressed the surrender delegation via secure transmission. She sat behind the presidential seal in the White House, looking every bit the leader of a major galactic power. We accept your surrender, she told the Zephyrian officials. Your people are welcome to resettle on any world that will have them. Earth bears no grudge against Zephyrian civilians. Supreme Commander Vash Kol, now a refugee leader instead of a military dictator, spoke carefully. What of our military leaders, who planned the attack? They died with their homeworld, President Chen replied. Earth considers the matter closed. Across the galaxy, other species began revising their policies toward human expansion. The Rigelian Empire, which had been planning to claim several systems that humans wanted for colonies, suddenly declared those systems open for peaceful development. The Tau Ceti Federation announced a new friendship treaty with Earth. The Vegan Confederacy invited human scientists to work on joint research projects. Species that had never spoken to humans before sent diplomatic missions to Earth. Within a month, humanity went from being ignored to being the most feared and respected species in the galaxy. Dr. Elena Vasquez's crystal research was completed by a new team on a rebuilt research station. The station was now protected by a permanent fleet of human warships. The crystals did indeed revolutionize energy storage, just as Elena had predicted. The new research station, Kepler 442b, housed 2,000 people. It had advanced shields, heavy weapons, and a direct communication link to Earth Defense Command. A memorial wall in the main corridor listed the names of all 847 people who died in the original station. Commander Maria Santos, the new security chief, read the memorial every morning. She had orders to contact Earth immediately if any alien ship approached without permission. The response time for human reinforcements was now measured in hours instead of days. President Chen kept James's final message on her desk. She read it often, especially when making decisions about humanity's expansion into the galaxy. Earth's colonies grew rapidly as species after species decided that having humans as neighbors was better than having them as enemies. Trade agreements flowed in from across the galaxy. Technology exchanges made both sides stronger. But everyone understood the new rules. In the rebuilt research station cafeteria, Dr. Michael Park, son of the Dr. Park who died in the original attack, explained the situation to a group of young scientists. My father used to say that humans were peaceful explorers who just wanted to study the universe, he told them. That is still true. We are peaceful. We do explore. We do want to learn. He gestured toward the memorial wall visible through the cafeteria windows. But we also remember, and we calculate. The galaxy learned that attacking human civilians has mathematical consequences. One of the young scientists asked, what if another species tests us like the Zephyrians did? Dr. Park was quiet for a moment, thinking about his father who had died trying to save research data. Then he smiled, sadly. Then they will discover that Earth's mathematics are very precise, and our calculations always balance. Outside the station windows, the blue and green crystals still grew on the planet's surface. They powered the station's advanced systems and would soon power ships that carried humans to new worlds across the galaxy. The crystals glowed softly in the starlight, beautiful and peaceful, watched over by the most dangerous military force the galaxy had ever seen. Humanity had reached for the stars and found them full of species who mistook peace for weakness. The mistake cost 17 billion lives and changed the balance of power forever. Earth's message was now written in the empty space where Zephyr Prime used to exist. We are explorers, but we are not victims. Test us if you dare, but remember that our mathematics are absolute, and our calculations always balance. The galaxy learned to give humanity room to grow, and the stars became a little bit safer for anyone willing to do the math.